Strap in, I'm wearing this for the whole thing. Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild, dude. Today we're taking a first look, run, and review of the new Vanquish Products Mullet. And here it is. Okay, these have to come off. This stays on. This is the actual mullet here. This is the new kit from Vanquish Products. And it's definitely a unique kit. Most of you are probably old enough to remember a mullet as a hairdo. Business in the front, party in the back. And that's exactly what the Vanquish Mullet is all about. It is essentially a competition style crawler with one very big difference over all the other ones that are out there. This one has a straight front axle and a portal rear. And I'll get into all of the reasons why that's a good thing. I can assure you that it is. This box is pretty funny. They've got these, the first thing I noticed were these jack stands, these briefcases up front and these solo cups in the rear for the party. And even the box has got this split where it's sort of like legal notepad and then a party background. They really did kind of lean into that. And it's one of the more interesting boxes that Vanquish has ever done. And they've gone pretty wild with it. It's pretty cool. Like I said, it is a kit. So you do get this unpainted body and the entire chassis. No electronics, no wheels, no tires. Of course, I built mine up and painted it. We'll get into that. But I wanted to just show off the instruction manual real quick. Even the inside of the box. Look, business on one side, party on the other. Another fun thing to note, you can actually download these jack stands from the Vanquish website, I think, and print these out for yourself and have them, which I think is pretty slick. Let's go from the very beginning and talk about the assembly of this kit. It is exceptionally easy. If you've ever put together a Vanquish kit before, this is going to come to you like second nature. Very straightforward, the instructions are excellent, and it is a very quick build. I think I put this one together in just under 3 hours, which is, by my personal standards, pretty fast. Manual is quite good. It's actually a pretty tiny manual. There's not much to this build that isn't going to come quite naturally if you've built anything from Vanquish before. But it was pretty easy to follow, and like I said, a nice quick build, which is always good. What we're looking at here, chassis-wise, is essentially a VRD. Not a carbon, because it's not carbon rails, they're aluminum rails, but it is a shortened VRD. So they're calling this the S25, and really is just about shorter overall length of the chassis, but the wheelbase hasn't changed at all. So you're still getting all the benefits of that. One of the things I've done, and you're going to notice this right away, is that this bed does not come with this kit. It is supposed to not be there. And then there's a rear bumper and a chassis brace that goes in there. This was Josh's old VRD carbon rear chassis bed cage thing, and with a very small modification, it fits quite nicely on here. Apparently he's already got another one in the works for the Mullet specifically, so you'll be able to download that on his website. I'll make sure to put a link down below. A few other small things that I've noticed after having this truck for a little while now is that the width of the body overall is wide enough to cover the sliders. So you're not getting any actual protection along the edge of the body. And I mean, you could probably bend these out a little further and you might get there, but I actually don't mind that. It actually looks kind of clean, but it doesn't key into the body. So I guess, you know, you could get caught on an obstacle and that might tend to get a little annoying if you are in a comp situation. If you're out just crawling with your buddies, I don't think that's really going to be much of an issue. As you can see, there's going to be a lot of familiar things here if you've had one of those trucks in the past. The aluminum chassis rails, of course. Most of the chassis braces are the same. This one here in the rear is new, and it is a nice way of securing the body in the back. There's an additional body post there that keys into that rear to help keep everything very nice and stable and well attached. We get these plate aluminum folded sliders. I'm not a huge fan of these, but I understand that it's probably more than anything a cost-saving measure. They do work just fine, and there, as you can see in the setup that I've done in terms of my electronics, it's a pretty open kind of setup, and there's plenty of room for a small battery on this side. and then plenty of room for your receiver here. I opted to use the little plastic platform that they have on the VFD transmission to mount my ESC. I'm running a Holmes V3 Crawlmaster and a Holmes Crawlmaster 10-pole 2300 kV motor. Plenty of room in there for larger cans if you end up going that route. I know that we are all interested in larger cans. Dude. In terms of steering, I've decided to go with a Reefs RC 1100 Smart, which is more than enough power. In terms of the spec, you're still getting nice big fat stainless links underneath. These are bent in the rear to help accommodate for more clearance with that portal axle. I quite like that. I think that whole setup in the rear is pretty trick, and I really like how much of a contrast it is to the front straight axle. I just so happen to have a VRD carbon built up here, and you can see that it is substantially longer than the S25 chassis that's on the Mullet. I'd say it's probably almost 25 millimeters shorter, which might explain why they called it the S25. Along with those nice stainless links, you are also getting the Incision Pro rod ends, so you're getting a higher quality plastic. They are much better than the other ones. With the VRD carbon spec transmission, you do get the lighter aluminum motor plate as well as the lightened gears, so it is significant value as well. It's a much better transmission when it's set up this way. I really like it. In addition, all of the shocks have the new plastic caps, so these do not leak. I've been running this truck already, and we're going to cut to some running video here in a little bit, but you can see all those axles are dry, not a drip. That's pretty good. Of course, because it is based around the Vanquish VRD carbon chassis, you are getting that nice angled skid that makes this a Class 2 style competition truck as opposed to a Class 1. One other thing that I forgot to mention that's really super important about this whole truck is that because these are different axles, you're using a straight axle F10 and a portal axle F10 in the rear, you've got to offset your SLW hub size. Vanquish recommends a 475 up front and a 350 in the rear to compensate for the different widths in those two axles. That way you get a nice even track width front and rear. Also pictured but not included, I am running these nice BBW wheels, and these are the new Toyo tires from Vanquish Products. These are the Open Country RT Pros, and they are fantastic. Nice lug spacing, good grip so far on the rocks that I run on. I'm very impressed with this tire, and I think you'll agree once you see some of the running footage. I think the best way to describe this truck is that they've taken all of the best parts of the VRD carbon and made something unique that once you see how it drives, I think you'll agree it's a really good change. Having that portal rear and adding all of that extra underdrive to essentially really does make this an entirely different truck. If there's one thing that I think they should have done out of the factory to make this an even better, more desirable comp truck, is they should have had weighted knuckles for the front axle. And I know that obviously you can get that aftermarket, but the VRD carbon comes with weighted axle, the stance comes with the weighted axle, the Portal Builders kit, does that? I think that comes with weighted axle as well. So it would be something that I would love to see. Maybe it's something they can offer later on down the road. Plastic drive shafts, not a surprise there. That's pretty standard across all of the kits that they offer. The bumpers are great. The rear is that sort of like kicked up bumper. This is it here. You can see that it does have a bit of a kick up. I quite like that. That would obviously get installed there if I wasn't running this Harley Designs bed. Which is, I think it just completes the look of the truck overall once you get the body back on. But overall, a very impressive setup. Now, of course, I can say that until this wig falls off, but it's probably better for you to actually watch it run. Then after that, we'll do some live commentary on the trail. So let's get to it, dude. Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild. I don't know what's going on with my voice lately. It's all messed up. Anyway, here we are. We're out with the new Vanquish Mullet. And I've done a custom paint job on it here to really kind of emphasize how fun and fantastic this truck is. I really wanted to get that 90s kind of vibe from the fact that it is a mullet. There's a lot of really interesting things to talk about on this truck. It is essentially at its core sort of like a VRD based truck. But that's where the similarities sort of end. Because what makes the Mullet interesting is it has a straight front axle, F10 Straight axle. And then in the rear, we've got a Portal F10. So some really interesting stuff going on there. Different geometry. We flipped the third member in the rear, so that all spins in the proper direction, in case you're wondering. But what this is going to allow you to do in a rock crawling sort of scenario is kind of get all the steering benefits of that straight axle and all of the clearance benefits of that Portal axle. Plus, because it's a Portal, there's already 2-to-1 reduction in that rear axle. When you combine that with the VRD spec, or the VRD spec transmission and the overdrive, you're getting like, what is it, 30-something% overdrive, which is really fantastic for rock crawling because you want those front tires turning at a faster rate to kind of help pull you up over an obstacle. Also on descent, that sort of drag axle that happens in the rear because of all that overdrive helps as well. Really nice spec here. We've got the anodized shocks with the revised caps. So now they are plastic caps, but they are the revised ones. So not any leaking so far. Also, this is the new cab-only stance body, or stance cab-only body, which is quite nice. As you can see, very compy. Now I've added Josh's, or Harley Designs, I've added his rear bed to kind of complete the look of this truck for me. But it's a shortened chassis overall. So it's not going to have any hang-ups in the rear. As you can see, even with that extended bed, it's quite short, which is nice. Not a shortened wheelbase in any way, though. So you're still getting all the advantages of that. I'm also running the new Toyo Open Country RT Pros. This is the newest tire from Vanquish. Nice lugs, good spacing. Pretty compy looking tire. It's a 465, not a 475. But very nice. It's in the red compound, I believe. It certainly seems to be gripping quite well. Enough talking about it though, let's just get around and start driving it a little bit. We're going to start here in this rock garden. In my favorite spot, Rattlesnake Point. I very much enjoy driving out here. There's a lot of really great obstacles and it's a ton of fun. Now in the running video that you probably already took a look at, obstacles like this typically for me would be quite challenging, and I'm driving one-handed, but we'll see what we can do here. Just climbs right up and over it, no problem. And I'll try to demonstrate the benefit of having that Portal axle in the rear. The main benefit is like you're not going to get hung up on any obstacles anymore. So we're going to hit this rock right here, and because the front axle, you can kind of dance around it a little bit. You can see how it's getting hung up there, but if you find the right line, like that, and then you start to turn, you might find yourself getting hung up on that in a typical straight axle sort of situation. But with the Portal, and of course I've hung myself up on another obstacle further up the line here, but with the Portal in the rear, it just sails right over that. It's really nice to see, and that's one of the main benefits of this Mullet chassis. I am finding it to be wildly capable, very much in line with VRD stance, VRD carbon, and I mean, because it is based on those vehicles, that chassis, a lot of those same things are going to apply. But having all that extra steering, and that is a substantial amount of steering, really kind of negates the need for dig right out of the box. I mean, of course, you can add dig later, why not? But it's just nice to not need it right away for very competitive, very nice, small
steering radius. Really like how this paint job turned out. I did base it off a Method Racing Baja truck that I saw on the internet. So not an original design, but I like the execution. I thought it was sort of like a Miller High Life sort of thing, hence the Mullet VRD Life. This has always been one of those obstacles I've had struggles with a bunch of other trucks, so let's see if we can make it here. And almost. We have to walk it over here a little bit, see if we can't do that. I think it's just got just the right bit of gap there, so I can't get rear tires to get the grip it needs. It is quite vertical. See if we can demonstrate how vertical it is. There we go. Just needed a little bump. Let me show you how that overdriven front really does help benefit in downhill situations. You can watch that rear axle just drag itself down rather than rotate as much as the front. And that nice control really helps you in those kinds of situations. Adding to the fact that it is a Portal rear axle, I mean, gives you that added benefit of clearance, but also added reduction. So that helps with steering radius. All that extra overdrive and Portal rear with the added reduction does give you a nice tight turning radius. So like I said, dig not necessarily super important right away. But of course, because it is a VFD transmission, you can add that without any trouble to this truck. But its sheer rock crawling capabilities are really kind of showing off what this truck is all about and the sort of environment in which it's really going to shine. This location is very familiar to me. I'm quite familiar with all the rocks, but I do manage to find new obstacles every time I come here, which is great. Of course, you know, nature does present a lot of great opportunities, and getting outside is one of the main benefits of this hobby. So you're out here, you're enjoying nature with a nice, quiet, smooth rock crawler. One nice benefit to a truck like this is that, you know, despite the fact that it is, you know, a purpose-built rock crawler and, you know, competition is its sort of main goal, it isn't so plug-and-play easy over all the obstacles to make it not fun. There's still, you know, lots of ways to challenge yourself and to find new ways to sort of make this truck perform in ways that maybe you thought weren't possible. Oops. I'm also a fan that, you know, if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying things, you're not challenging yourself, what's really the point? So a truck like this is, while still wildly capable, it is, of course, still going to challenge you, make you think about how you're going to get through an obstacle. Now, I still think that this truck could benefit from a little bit of knuckle weight, or at least front weights in some regard, whether they be brass rings for your wheels, or some brass hexes, or, you know, brass knuckles. I think there's something to be said for getting a bit more weight up front. I think it would just help with some of these more extreme angles, that not getting the bite on the rocks that I want. Yeah, that's not happening. There we go. Nice. I'm quite chuffed with myself for that one. I'm going to make it up the rest of the way, though. Yo! I think I had it. Excellent. Excellent. What a great looking truck, and such a great performer too. I'm really, really impressed. It's certainly kind of slots itself in between the, I would say actually, I'd say between the VRD Builder's Kit and the VRD Carbon. I'd say this is sort of like right in the middle in terms of what it can do right out of the box. This is the type of truck that really shines in technical kind of rock crawling style terrain like this. It's not going to surprise you or delight you in the same way if you're just driving it on a trail. Although maybe it might, who knows? I'm not sure what you're into. In fact, why don't you tell me what you're into by putting a comment down below? You know I love reading through your feedback, and I try to answer as many of those comments as I can. And of course, if you're enjoying this video and you like these sort of outdoor reviews, let me know by hitting the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you get updates anytime there's a new video from the Scale Builders Guild. Now, am I going to ruin this truck by putting a hard body on it? No. I'm going to treat this as a dedicated rock crawler. It might even be a good opportunity to make this a true comp truck. And I haven't really done a lot of comp stuff lately that isn't with buggies. So maybe there's an opportunity there. I'm very impressed though for what's basically what I would consider to be sort of a parts bin truck from Vanquish. They've kind of knocked it out of the park. Made some significant changes to make this a really good truck. Ooh. All right. Yes.
There you go. That's a first look at the new Vanquish Mullet. I really like this kit. It is a blast to put together. It is a blast on the rocks. And like they say, it's a little bit of business in the front and party in the rear. One other thing to note, they do have these really cool VRD Mullet branded blade sunglasses. And I think it kind of fits with the whole business front party in the rear kind of situation they've got going on. And I think if you are one of the first few hundred people that order one of these kits, they're going to include these sunglasses, which is a pretty cool deal, dude. So there you go. First look, VRD Mullet. I think it's a great truck. If you're looking to get into competition crawling, I think this might actually be the way I would go. Very cool kit. Thanks very much to Vanquish for sending me the VRD Mullet and these really cool sunglasses to do this review. Are you more business or are you more party? I know I'm a little bit of both, which is why I like the Mullet so much. Is this something that you're interested in? Put a comment down below. You know I love reading through your feedback, and I try to answer as many of those comments as I can. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you get updates anytime there's a new video from the Scale Builders Guild. And if you subscribe, I promise to never wear this wig again. Speaking of subscribing, you should also check out the YouTube membership program we have here at the Scale Builders Guild, where you get access to all kinds of behind-the-scenes content, tips and tricks, how-tos, travel logs, all kinds of really great stuff, including giveaways. There will be a link down below, and please help me by thanking all of these loyal ding-dongs for being a part of that tight-knit community. It's a really fun way to interact with a smaller group of fans, and I can't thank you enough for being a part of that. So if you're interested, link down below. Okay, I gotta get this wig off. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.